The Premier League this season has seen a hotly contested race for the European spots. The same, however, can't be said about the title race. Today, I, your host Ben, will be taking a look at the fight for these European spots, as well as a foregone conclusion known as the title race. Let's first take a look at the Premier League table. Arsenal. Arsenal are currently ninth with 40 points, but they still have a game in hand. It is worth noting that that particular game in hand is against none other than Manchester City. The Gunners will have to go to the Etihad and face Mikel Arteta's former boss, Pep Guardiola, in a tie that could decide not only the title but Arsenal's future Champions League hopes. The Gunners have enjoyed relative success under their recently appointed manager Mikel Arteta, with the side going on an 8-game unbeaten run. Having a look at Arsenal's run-in, we can see that they have a favourable run of games to look forward to, noting that they have fixtures to go against Southampton, Brighton and Norwich. These 3 games will be played in a row. The next run of games though are not as easy, with ties still to come against Leicester, Wolves, Spurs and Liverpool. Looking at their performances as of late, I think Arteta has certainly put an emphasis on more defensive solidity, with his team only conceding 9 goals throughout the 10 league games under the Spaniard. Though in saying this, it is worrying how erratic David Luiz can be. The Brazilian has already given away 3 penalties this season and is prone to a major error. Arsenal will also be hoping to see their forward players come back from the season's break with a hot streak. If Mesut Ozil starts off well in his first few games, you can place your bets on the North London team coming into touching distance of the top 4. Arteta also has a lot of work to do in relation to the form of Lacazette, and of course Nicolas Pepe, who I feel have underperformed so far this season. I feel as if the mood around Arsenal at the moment is positive, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them push Chelsea and Man United hard for the remaining Champions League spots. I think Arteta has a long way to go before getting Arsenal to the top, but the early signs so far have been highly promising. If the speculation around Aubameyang's future pushes him to elevate his already tremendous playing ability, then I can see the Gunners fighting their way into at least a 6th place. If the speculation does the opposite though, then it's hard to see them moving past where they are now in 9th. Arsenal certainly have the run of games and the capability to push for the Champions League. It remains to be seen though if Mikel Arteta can get a positive reaction from his players, particularly when playing against the teams below them, with the side dropping crucial points so far against the likes of Bournemouth, Burnley and Crystal Palace. I think their first match against Man City back on the 17th will be a real indicator of which way they'll be heading for their remaining fixtures. Spurs. A point above Arsenal in 9th are Spurs. Mourinho's men would have welcomed the break in play, with the team being ravaged by injuries to key players, which led to a torrid 6-game winless run. The Lily Whites return on June 19th against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Man United, which could be a real statement fixture for either side regarding their European hopes. Aside from this, Spurs have an uneasy visit from North London or South East neighbours Arsenal. Besides these 2 games, I think Spurs have a rather favourable few fixtures, with games against West Ham, Bournemouth and Newcastle to look forward to. Jose has yet to convince me throughout his time at Tottenham, with the Portuguese tactician opting for his favourite direct approach as opposed to evolving his team's style of play. The days of building up from the back under Pochettino are long gone, with the side now opting to hit the ball over the top. Mourinho has always been known for his side's defensive strength. However, I feel that he has failed to implement this defense he is known for, with Spurs having conceded a total of 23 goals in 17 league games under Jose. That's hardly watertight. One of the key factors for this is a lack of quality fullback options possessed by Spurs, with their main 2 starting fullbacks being Ben Davies on the left and Serge Aurier on the right. Aurier is famed for his eccentricity and poor defensive positioning, while Davies lacks the pace to be as effective on the left. This has at times forced Mourinho's hand in employing a 3 at the back to make up for his fullback's weaknesses. In attack, Spurs fans can look forward to the return of both Harry Kane and Son Heung-min from injury. This added forward presence can be the kickstarter to push the team over the line on the pitch. I am of the opinion that Dele Alli will also profit from both their returns, with the forward player relying heavily on his fellow attackers to create space for him to operate in. This explains his lack of form in their absence, struggling to lead the line by himself. Many will also be keeping an eye on the performances of record signing Tanguy and Ndombele, with the Frenchman famously being criticized by manager Jose Mourinho in his last league outing against Burnley. One would hope that the talented midfielder can use this criticism to push his performances to a better level, having failed to impress so far. There is a real crop of talent in this Spurs team, boasting the likes of Giovanni Lo Celso, Lucas Moura, Steven Bergwijn, Ryan Sessegnon, to go along with the previously mentioned names. It is merely down to Jose to get these players fit and firing. I genuinely hope Jose isn't past his best, with his villainy seeing him ousted from jobs at Chelsea and Man United. However, the signs don't look promising with him already having grips with a few players. But you never know, Jose. I think Spurs have the ability to challenge for that top 4 spot. Only if they can pick up a run of results and develop a good and positive atmosphere around the squad. If this happens, it's hard not to see the self-titled Special One dragging his team into the Champions League. I feel, however, that is a big if. Sheffield United. Now for a surprise package this season. The Blades find themselves all the way up in 7th, a long way off where many people predicted them to be, with the newly promoted team taking to life in the Premier League like a duck to water. With 10 games to go, they are full 5 points off 4th, and will probably be pushing the teams above them the whole way. The part of their team that has impressed me the most is their defense, with the Sheffield United boys only conceding 25 goals so far. Only Liverpool have a better record. Of course, Dean Henderson has been standout, with the Manchester United loanee trailing Nick Pope in the clean sheet charts only by 1. Besides him, they can boast to have some very good defenders in John Egan, Chris Basham, Jack O'Connell, Enda Stevens, and George Baldock. The way Chris Wilder sets up his team in the 3-5-2 is bound to frustrate and stifle any team they come up against. On the topic of Chris Wilder, I think the man deserves all the praise that comes his way, with the Englishman masterminding the Blades' return to the Premier League in a way no one would have seen coming. Not even himself, probably. The fact that he's managed to bring over the style of overlapping his centre-backs so successfully from the Championship to the Premier League is beyond remarkable. Most teams they've come up against find it hard to think of anything to counter such a foreign idea. In fact, even Pep Guardiola has taken note and praised this concept, with the Spaniard saying the following about the team. I am incredibly impressed. When people say you can improve watching other games, other teams, other managers, this is the one. I never saw movements they are doing. That's the reason why they are in the position they are. I personally feel Guardiola isn't the only man that has been enamored by the concept of overlapping your centre-backs, with Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer drawing on inspiration from the Blades when he deploys Luke Shaw as a left centre-back in his back three. It's clear to see that Sheffield United are a well-drilled team, full of individuals that have bought into what Chris Wilder is preaching. In terms of their midfield options, John Fleck and Ollie Norwood have shined this season. Norwood is calm in possession and has the capability to spread the play with his searching balls forwards, while Fleck is tough in the tackle and also can get amongst the goals, being their top scorer in fact, with 5 goals from midfield. If I did have to criticize them though, I would point to the fact that their centre forwards combined only have 13 goals cumulatively among their 5 strikers. That's a goal less than Marcus Rashford, who has been out injured since January. Chris Wilder will surely be working with them on the training ground to increase their output. Even though I slate their strikers, you can't really judge them on the goals they score. I say this because having watched them play this season, their centre forwards do so much more than just score goals, with them being a key outlet to alleviate pressure on their back line, holding up play through incisive positioning. I've even grown a keen fondness towards Lys Mousset. All in all, Sheffield United are a fantastic bunch of players who have a strong sense of unity that has seen them perform better than the sum of their parts so far this season. I fully expect them to finish at least in 7th and continue to threaten the traditional Big Six in their chase for European football. Wolverhampton Wanderers. In the second Europa League slot, we have Wolves. Before the break, Wolves had gone on a 5-game unbeaten streak in the league, as well as making promising progress in the Europa League. Nuno Espirito Santo has managed to continue the good form he had his side playing last season. With regards to their fixtures, Wolves have a very promising run of games, having to play 5 of the bottom half teams in their next 9 games. Though those very bottom half teams were the same sort of sides that Nuno's men struggled against last season. This season it looks like a similar situation, with Wolves having only a 47% win percentage against the current bottom 10 teams. The standout players this season have of course been Raul Jimenez and Adama Traore, both players with much fanfare around them. For Traore in particular, we have seen the fruits of the man management abilities that Nuno has in his locker, transforming a man once maligned for his lack of end product into a consistent performer game in game out. Both players are pivotal in pushing the Black County team up the table with their goals and assist numbers standing at 30 in the league this season. Wolves have also enjoyed a solid foundation to aid their overall play, with Connor Cody marshalling the backline superbly once more. Another player I feel goes underappreciated is João Moutinho. The man is 33 now and has shown no signs of slowing down, being the side's main outlet in distributing the play forward. I'm even inclined to say that Moutinho has been the better midfielder compared to his partner Ruben Neves this season, despite the constant praise you see of Neves online. Wolves are a joy to watch, with their wide array of talents spread across the squad, with even the youngster Pedro Neto showing tons of promise in his early days at the club. I'm excited to see how this team progresses over the coming years, and these future 9 games are very telling of how this side is at coping with pressure. They certainly have a fight on their hands if their Champions League hopes are concrete, and we shall see in the coming matches how they'll handle such a strenuous run of games. I think they're more than capable of sealing this 6th spot and have the overall talent across the board to push higher if they can stay consistent. As I've said before, Nuno has continued to impress me with his innate ability to gel this side together into a functioning system. It's also important to note how good he is at improving individual players, with the likes of Jimenez, Traore, and Matt Doherty being solid evidence of this. Manchester United. Up next, we have Manchester United at 5th. The Red Devils experienced a strong run of form before the break began, a run of form which saw them go 11 games unbeaten, winning 8 and only conceding 2 in all competitions. This run of course coincided with the arrival of Bruno Fernandes, who has lifted the mood around Old Trafford among fans and players alike. Aside from their return fixture against Spurs, United have a fairly good run of things in their remaining games, having to face 6 of the relegation struggling sides. However, it's important to note at how badly the team struggled earlier in the season against the lower table teams, losing to the likes of Newcastle, Bournemouth and Watford previously. United fans will hope that with the return of Pogba combining with Bruno, they'll be able to break down these smaller sides' deeper defensive lines. The forward front four of Pogba, Martial, Rashford and the aforementioned Fernandes will be looking to form a substantial understanding of each other during these 9 games and will certainly be a sight to excite United fans if they can mesh well. I think manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has improved over the course of the whole season, showing he has the right credentials to lead United for the foreseeable future. I've been particularly impressed with his handling of big game matches, with United winning in 5 out of their 9 games against the traditional top 6 teams. He has shown great tactical flexibility in adapting his side shape when encountering these tougher opposition, and is the first manager since Sir Alex Ferguson to record a double of league wins against neighbours Man City. Throughout this season, I've also noticed how Ole has improved in regard to his on-the-pitch management, making substitutions more shrewdly as the seasons progress. A prime example of this is in the 2-0 Derby Day victory against City, where he cleverly subbed Scott McTominay and Odion Ighalo on late in the game, the 2 substitutions which would see United go to score their second later in that match. Another aspect of United's game that has shown vast improvement is their defense. The summer additions of Harry Maguire and Aaron Wan-Bissaka have done wonders in building a solid defensive base. Maguire has played a key role in organizing and leading the back line, with his appointment as United club captain a telling point of his ability. This defensive improvement has come at the right time for United, with the decline in performances of shot-stopper David De Gea. The Spaniard has underperformed so far and has dropped way off his best years in the past. United fans would hope that the break in play has provided their number one sufficient time to regain his concentration and possibly return to his brilliant best of the days prior. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will also hope that his starting goalkeeper would have improved his ability on the ball during the pause, as the manager likes to involve his goalkeeper in much of his team's build-up play. Manchester United look in good shape for their coming fixture against Spurs, and would like to deliver their supporters high expectations with a statement performance. Manchester United look in good shape for their return against Spurs, and would certainly like to deliver on their supporters' high expectations with a statement performance against their former manager, Jose Mourinho. Chelsea. Above United in fourth is Chelsea, though that lead is only by 3 points. The Blues' recent form characterizes the whole top four race this season, with the team dropping crucial points against the likes of Bournemouth, Newcastle and Brighton. When you hear about these results, you'd wonder how they've managed to cling on to their top four spot for so long. Chelsea still have to face the likes of Villa, West Ham, Watford and Norwich, who will be fighting for survival. They also have games to come against Man City and Liverpool. I think this isn't a bad run of games for the Blues to consolidate their place in the top four. If they can start converting their chances more consistently, they might even sneak past Leicester for third. Frank Lampard has done a good solid job in steadying the ship despite having to face a transfer ban in the summer, which had previously halted any signings to improve the overall squad makeup. The way Lampard has gotten a hold of this squad with him bringing in many youth team players into the first team is something Chelsea fans can be proud of. He's also managed to confidently implement a cohesive style of play despite not having the privilege of a transfer window. In terms of their weaknesses, Chelsea have a bit of a problem in choosing a proper centre-back pairing, with Rudiger, Zuma, Christensen and Tomori being constantly rotated throughout the season. If Lampard wants to cut out the individual errors from his defenders, he has to decide on a proper defensive lineup so that either centre-back can form a comprehensive understanding of their positioning. They've also struggled earlier in the season to field a starting left-back, with Emerson and Alonso being chopped and changed between them. This has seen club captain Cesar Azpilicueta having to return to the left-hand slot in defense. Azpilicueta has been a great servant to the club, but right now he's not exactly at the peak of his abilities, and is lacking forward running ability. Now I'll be shining a bit of light on the key players this season. Mateo Kovacic has been fantastic this season, with his calmness on the ball and gliding dribbling ability helping Chelsea build many an attack. Reece James has also impressed in his debut year alongside Tammy Abraham and Callum Hudson-Odoi. Abraham in particular will be hoping to return from injury with some goals. The Chelsea team is full of potential and will hope to make sure that this potential is able to be transferred into something concrete and tangible. I think the team will be boosted by the news of Timo Werner joining, possibly giving Tammy Abraham a drive to score more goals. I think the side certainly can push for that third spot and will continue to improve throughout the coming years. Leicester City. All the way up in third we have Leicester City. The Foxes had a strong start to the season, with many even tipping them as potential title challengers during the peak of their form. However, 2020 hasn't been kind to them, or to most of us in general, with the side only winning 3 games in the league throughout the whole of this year. Their fixtures see them play 3 of the bottom 6, that being Watford, Brighton and Bournemouth. They also still have to play Arsenal, Spurs and Man United. Those teams in particular will be looking to creep up on Leicester, who let their points gap decrease gradually because of their mixed form. Brendan Rodgers has done an admirable job this year with the team, getting them to play an attractive passing style which has caught the eye of many around the league. He has also got Jamie Vardy firing goals in, though his form did wane coming into the break. The performances of James Maddison and Yuri Tielemans this season were a joy to behold, with both of them running the show for that Leicester attack. Harvey Barnes has also been a delightful talent to watch, with his rapid pace making him a tricky player for any defender to contain. Rodgers has always been known for his talent in handling attacking players, and has been on display this season. In fact, Leicester have one of the best attacks this season, with them only trailing Liverpool and City in the goals department. However, this Leicester team is far from perfect, and they are heavily reliant on the work of Wilfred Ndidi to shield the defense when the attackers push up. Ndidi is undoubtedly one of the best defensive midfielders in the league, with his energy in regaining possession being absolutely essential for the team to maintain their attacking prowess. We've seen how much the team struggles without their midfield stalwart, not having a replacement in this squad capable of replicating his effectiveness, his injury in January being the key factor in their downturn of form. When Leicester return, they must revive their form if they are to have any chance of clinging on to their third place spot. If not, then it's extremely likely that Chelsea and United will catch up and even leapfrog them. Jamie Vardy too needs to end his goal-scoring drought, or this Leicester team will struggle in those so-called easier fixtures against the bottom teams. I'm a little worried for Leicester's current positioning, considering Rodgers in the past has let his team slip late on in the season. Though in saying this, this team will be bolstered by the return of Ndidi and will probably continue to be an imposing side in their remaining fixtures. Manchester City. Up in second is City. The citizens have surely given up on any title aspirations they once possessed, with the team trailing league leaders Liverpool by a whopping 25 points. Man City entered this season's pause rather disappointingly, with the team failing to show up on their successful first leg tie against Real Madrid by losing to Manchester neighbours United 2-0. Their run of games sees them return to the Etihad against Arsenal, where they'll be hoping to at least put some pressure on Liverpool. They still have games to come against the aforementioned Liverpool as well as Chelsea. City this season have dropped off in comparison to previous years, with the side being rather porous in defence. A large reason for this is down to the absence of Fernandinho in defensive midfield. The Brazilian has been forced to deputise in central defence this season, with the team's backline constantly being ravaged by injuries. This has meant that he hasn't had the opportunity to be his usual domineering self in midfield. His position in central defence at times can be suspect too, with him not being used to playing there. No stat tells a better story of this than the fact that they've conceded 7 goals from outside the box in the league. That's the joint most. This is down to the fact that Fernandinho is unable to play in his usual midfield area, allowing teams to focus a large majority of their shots from outside the penalty area. Rodri is a talented player and will probably evolve in the coming years to fully replace Fernandinho. However, he is not aware enough defensively to prevent these teams from getting into favourable shooting positions. City haven't been horrible this season though, still boasting the best attack in the league, with Sergio Aguero managing to stay in contention for the Golden Boot despite Guardiola's constant rotating of his team. Of course, when you mention City's attack, you have to talk about the phenomenal Kevin De Bruyne, who is arguably the best player in the entire league. Belgium has been simply unstoppable this season, registering 16 assists so far, the most out of anyone in the league. He is the heartbeat of this team and will be looking to be at his brilliant best when the season resumes. Overall, City will be looking to prove a point in their remaining games. This will be worrying for any team that faces them, with Guardiola pushing his players to improve on their failures early in the season. Liverpool. Of course, in first we have Liverpool. The Reds have been absolutely sensational this season, and sit comfortably atop the standings on 82 points. They did, however, suffer small blips against Atletico in the Champions League and Watford in the league recently. The side will be looking to wrap up the league in their remaining fixtures, only needing 2 wins to secure their elusive league title. Funnily enough, they face Everton in their return match, where their Merseyside neighbours will be looking to spoil the potential of an early title win. Liverpool this year have been made so successful because of how dynamic their fullbacks have been. Both Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson have flourished going forward this season, with the duo registering 12 and 7 assists respectively. Aside from that, their defense has been fantastic this year, with the team boasting the best defense in the league. Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez have been standouts so far and will be looking to continue their fine form when they return to the pitch. As usual, Liverpool's forward players have been exceptional, with Sadio Mane and Mo Salah scoring a combined 30 goals between them. It's also important to note how pivotal their captain Jordan Henderson has been for them. The Englishman has shown his ability to drive the team across the line in games where they've not been at their best. I fully expect Liverpool to win their first league title since 1990 and will not take anything for granted considering they've had to wait for so long. Before I end this video, I would like to make some brief predictions on how the top 4 as well as the rest of the table will be shaping up, from 9th to 1st. I think the top 4 will finish as follows: Liverpool in 1st, City in 2nd, Chelsea in 3rd, and Manchester United in 4th. I have a feeling that Leicester will continue to slip down the table and will probably drop down to 5th. I also think Sheffield United will manage to sneak past Wolves into 6th, with Nuno's side dropping to 8th behind Spurs. Sorry Arsenal fans, but this year's European race has been the hardest of recent years, but I could completely be wrong though. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you did enjoy it. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to help my channel grow, and I hope to see you all soon.